Day two of the Players Era tournament, we get a matchup between two units that won their first contest. We have Tennessee and Houston, two defensive-minded juggernauts over the years. We saw Tennessee just absolutely make mincemeat out of Rutgers. That game wasn't close from the start. Rutgers led 2-0, and then Tennessee was leading the rest of the way. They were up by as many as 36 in that contest, Matt. And it was somehow even Dion and I have a recap of this game that should be up on the channel by the time you're hearing this. There are no words that I could do justice to how to how bad Rutgers is
Yeah, it's
and
really bad. Yeah.
how hard Bruce Pearl and Candace Parker were trying on the call to make it sound like Rutgers was somewhat competitive. And it was
Yeah.
like, dude, they're down 23 and you're talking about they're showing good fight or they're getting good plays out of Dylan Grant, the Canadian, who's their only form of offense right now. And he put up 10 points. I guess you know my bit, 10 big points, but 10 points. Like this Tennessee completely suffocated Rutgers and got just an all-star performance from Jacoby Gillespie. You're seeing Nate Ament prove why he's in top five, even top three discussions. Like the top five of this freshman class is so loaded, by the
It's
way. You
sick.
don't have to
Yeah.
get on this.
But even the top 10, honestly, like
Yeah,
you could
yeah.
go so deep.
Ament was so special in this game, and yet he's
Yeah.
going to take a back seat because Gillespie put up a career high. Meanwhile, on the other side of the ball, you have Houston squeaking a game out in overtime against a Syracuse team that, like, frankly, we just haven't seen Houston get punked like this
No.
ever under Kelvin Sampson.
Yep.
Maybe you have to go back to 2018 when they got packed up by Jordan Poole on that buzzer beater. That team that had what's the dude's name was Rob Gray, wasn't it?
That sounds right.
Yeah, yeah. That was like when Houston was sort of on the come up. That's the last
Hmm.
time I can point to where it didn't feel like Houston would just roll into these games and completely stomp an inferior opponent. But again, you have two teams that hang their hats on defense, lunch pail type programs, lunch pail type coaches. Matt, what do you think makes a difference in this one in terms of who comes out victorious?
Yeah, I think it's like who's the third guy for either one of these teams.
Hmm.
Like you're gonna get a bunch of points from Gillespie. Ament looks special, and he's gonna have Tugler on him, I would imagine, for a good portion of this game, which is really tough. The two Houston guards, Uzan and Sharp, were really good today, but Sinak, 8 points, 12 rebounds, like he was good, and I actually think he mattered defensively. He's probably another guy that spends a few minutes on Ament or switches on to Okpara. Like you can kind of put him on a lot of guys, which is good, but who's the third scorer for each of these teams? And I think if you're Houston, like you look at this and you're looking at your own box score and you're like, well, 25% from, or sorry, they were really good from three today. They were 40%, excuse me. And then Tennessee, even better from three here, going 8 of 13, or sorry, 11 of 22 for the game. They were 8 of 13 in the first half, and most of those were Gillespie. They didn't really even need to shoot threes in the second half because they were up so much. But I showed up late to the Tennessee game by like 3 minutes, and Gillespie already had 9 points, and they were like all NBA threes. And it's like, holy shit. Like, it's like frantically watching on my phone as I ran into the arena. And it's just like, oh, this game is actually over already because just he Jacoby Gillespie'd them. And I think if you're Houston, like everything should be on shutting down those two guys. And
Hmm.
I don't know, it's gonna be interesting.
To your point, let's talk about that 3 point shooting for Houston first, and even the need for that third player to step up. It's been Kingston Flemings all year. This was really his first bad game where he just struggled with some of what Syracuse was throwing at him. I think someone like Nate George has the size and the length to bother to bother opposing ball handlers and even make Flemings look like a freshman for the first time all season. I mean, he finished this game with 3 turnovers, just 3 of 11 for the field, and he has been a model of efficiency to start the year. So really
Hmm.
surprising to see him struggle, but it's not going to get a lot easier going to this one.
Right.
And you mentioned that percentage for Houston, 40% from three, yet they were just 36% from the field as a whole. Like that's really tough to do, and usually we're just not used to seeing Houston do that. A night where they shoot 40%, you're probably thinking they're a high
Should win by
50s from the
30.
field.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
right, right. And when you look at this Tennessee team, I thought someone like Bishop Boswell was super impressive defensively today, and just having a guy like I'm thinking about how many bodies can you throw at Kingston Flemings to throw him out of rhythm, or to put on Emmanuel Sharp if he starts going off. Like, of course, you're not going to be starting Boswell, but to even have someone like that off the bench just to keep the defense coming in waves at those guards, like they could have a very tough night again. And I don't think we've ever looked at Jacoby Gillespie even as like an all-world defender. I mean, you saw every game he played last season, but I thought he was always a really smart one. Like
Yeah,
he
he's
has
good.
he,
Yeah, he's good.
he has a knack for coming up with steals, good
Mhm.
hands, and like there's something to be said about that. Even if you don't have the best physical tools
Right.
to be a true shutdown point of attack
He's
guy.
just smart. I mean,
Hmm.
that goes a long way.
Hmm. So I think between Gillespie and between Bishop coming off the bench, you have bodies to throw at these guards to take them out of rhythm again. And once you get past that first line of defense too, you still have Felix Akpara lurking there who had 3 blocks today. So it's going to be tough sledding, I think, for this Houston offense again.
I was sitting with a friend for this one, and he's like, it's interesting. Like, Rutgers is actually pretty big, and they match up size wise with this Tennessee team, except Tennessee's guys are bigger, like just as big. They're way more athletic, and they're definitely more skilled. Like Nate Ament was probably the second biggest player on this Rutgers team, and he's basically the shooting guard for this group, which is just nuts. I think he's gonna be honestly like kind of the swing player here. If somebody like
Mhm.
Tugler can slow him down, I don't know if there's enough there
Yeah,
offensively
that's
for
fair.
Tennessee, and they don't. Other than like, I mean, Gillespie kind of probes pretty well, but like, who's there like post? You're not giving it to Akpara to get 20 points in the paint or
Right.
anything like that, and I think that's going to be, you're not going to get the Houston Bigs into foul trouble or anything like that. And we mentioned their interior defense. This game wasn't particularly good. I can't imagine Kelvin Sampson lets that happen a second game.
That's a fair point. I don't know though. I'm kind of ready to pick Tennessee just because
Yeah.
I think they can match the Houston front court in terms of depth. And that was something that they lacked last year, or they didn't really
Right.
have much behind Okpara and Cade Phillips.
Sure.
And whereas this year you go on down the line, I think Dwayne Brown has been competent. You know, he's
Mhm.
good for 10 minutes a game, will play really hard and physical. Jalen Carey, I know he's been pretty quiet to start the year, and he was kind of felt like one of the more marquee transfer additions, but you look at his numbers and he's playing less than 20 minutes a game, but he's still good for some strong finishes around the basket, has really good footwork in the post. I mean, how many threes did he hit a year ago? He hit 9 threes last year. I thought he looked competent when he steps out to take one, and maybe he gets going from beyond the arc as well to give them another look. And he's just very capable rebounder who can, maybe end some of those possessions defensively too to keep Houston off the offensive boards. And it's just, I think ultimately why I lean Tennessee in this one is even though, you wonder where the offense comes from if Ament or Gillespie has an off game.
Mhm.
On the other side of the ball, I mean, today against Syracuse was really Uzan's first good game all season.
Yeah, it's
Like
true.
he's been really up and down. I think Sharp, he just the 3 point shooting hasn't been as efficient as you would
Yep.
like. I mean, 36%, you're not going to complain about that, but this was a guy who was at 40% a season ago and has just kind of made his career on making huge shots in big moments. And just this, I don't know. There's something, even with the good game today where he shot a ton of free throws, I'm still a believer in this Houston team eventually figuring it out. It's just kind of there's something that's felt off with the veterans
Yeah,
on
for
this
sure.
unit. And I just don't know if this is the week or this like I mean maybe they do back against the wall they put it all together, but the quick turnarounds, even though I trust Kelvin Sampson more than any coach in the world to game prep and scout here, it's kind of a tall ask to say, oh, you had all these issues exposed against Syracuse yet again. Like now you got to figure it out with a stifling defense next up on the docket.
Yeah, almost any team in this tournament, I would take Houston in this one just because I
Mhm.
figured they would figure it out for day two. And like you said, I trust them on a quick turnaround, but I also trust Tennessee to do that too. So this is like almost kind of a pick 'em for me. Somebody
Mhm.
like Amari Abram is a guy like I feel like I want him to be better at basketball than he actually is, but a
Right.
guy like that having a good game as like a third piece would give you something. I don't know. It's Fleming's has got to play a little better. Harwell did almost nothing productive today. It felt like
Mhm.
Sinak's gonna be a little better. You probably get a little more from Tugler. I think this like shaking up to be a really good basketball game. And I don't know. I felt like Uzan was like the first 5 games I saw was like him being like mentally armchair quarterbacking. He was like, I wish I were in the NBA right now instead of
Yeah.
doing this shit again.
Yeah.
But like today was the first one where it was like, oh, like he is singularly focused on like winning them this basketball game. So maybe it's finally like locked in here. Like it's real basketball for them. So I really want Tennessee to win this game because I really like this team. I love Jacoby Gillespie as a Terp. Like he's the one guy that transfer out that I'll always like rock with. And
Mhm.
I don't know. I've just got like a weird hunch that Houston wins this one by like 4 or something.
I'm gonna be on the other end and say Tennessee
Okay.
gets it done.
I like
I
it.
think. I mean, Gillespie's played in a lot of high level basketball games at
Yeah,
this point.
sure.
Was in the Sweet 16 a season ago. were they? Who did they lose in the
Sweet
Sweet
16.
16 again?
Florida, unfortunately.
Florida. Okay,
They
but
got
they hung with
buzzsawed.
them. They hung
Yeah.
with them.
Yeah.
Like he's seen stifling defenses. That Florida defense in and of itself was awesome last year. Saw one of the best point of attack defenders in the country with, oh my gosh, Elijah. Don't tell me. Why am I
Ugh.
blanking on dude? The FAU dude,
Yeah.
Elijah Mitchell. What? Elijah Martin. Gosh.
Martin. Okay. I didn't know if you wanted me to help you or not, because that's one like if I don't think of it myself, I'm gonna lose sleep over.
I'm like, sometimes like those names just, it's crazy.
Between
Yeah.
him and Will Richard and all these other like
Yeah.
Walter Clayton, like there's too many interchangeable names that would all work together there.
Y'all can cook me in the comments if that was a bad miss. But yeah,
It
sometimes
happens.
sometimes names just leave your mind. But
Absolutely.
yeah,
We're getting
I
old,
think
Riley. It happens to us,
it's
man.
true. Gosh, it's embarrassing the names that I confuse that like 18-year-old me would be like, how can you be making this mistake? But
Exactly.
I think Gillespie has proved himself against high level defenses in the past to where I think he handles the hard hedging and all the heavy pressure scheme that Houston's going to throw at him. And then on the other end, I mean, today was the first time all season that Milos Uzan has shot better than 25% from three in a game. Like, I need to see it sustain a little bit more because I felt the exact same way about you. I was a massive Uzan fan last year. I was banging that drum saying this dude is legit good enough to get Houston to a national championship. This year, I felt the same way where he just looks a little checked out. So I'm going to say Tennessee wins this one like 66-60.
Okay. I can't wait now that I've got extra incentive to be locked in on this game. It'll be good.
We'll see how it all shakes out. Should be one of the more physical contests we see in the entire Players Air tournament.